welcome to the FCare stage. It seems only like yesterday that you were in our paddock, but a lot has happened since your last season with us in 2012, hasn't it?
Yeah, a lot has happened since I was in karting. I struggled a lot in karting because I was always overweight. I'm a tall lad, so the weight was always an issue in karting. So we never really knew my ability when I was in karting. When I was 13, we made the decision to move into the Fiesta Junior Championship. We bought the ST, converted it into a race car, and when we went racing, we looked at the calendar dates and was racing at Silverstone on the 11th and 12th of May, and the racing was on the 12th of May, and I was actually turned 14 on the Sunday, and thanks to the Fiesta Juniors and the BRSCC, they let me do 3 laps behind a safety car on my birthday, and I managed to race and become the MSA's youngest ever race driver because I raced on my 14th birthday.
And that's a record that is never, it can only ever be equalled. Unless the rules change, and I can never see the rules changing as they are, you would never break that record. It can only be equalled, and that must have been a bizarre thing, because I remember reading about it in Autosport magazine, that you had become the youngest ever race. That was, try and describe what that was like, because I imagine it would have been quite stressful to start with, to try and make sure, oh, can I do it? And then you've got no time to worry about it, you just boom, straight in.
I mean, it was daunting, because normally people turn up into a championship and they just sort of like get hidden a bit. It wasn't really noticed, but the spotlight was kind of on me, because it was, I was the youngest ever the driver. He's got a bit of racing background, and I didn't do too well on my first race weekend because I couldn't do any additional testing because of my age. But then we went to Cadwell Park the weekend after, and I think we got 2 fourths, and so that was a big improvement. And then throughout that year we ended up joining up with Jam Sport, and since then we've won the most wins out of anyone else, had the most fastest laps, podiums, 4-lap records, and managed to win a championship in 2 years. So yeah, it ended up going well.
And it must have been nice, because you mentioned that, again, you're very tall, and I remember you from karting. You were by far away the tallest driver in your class, but you were also the youngest driver.
Yeah.
And as you know, in karting, the weight limit is everything, and it's not a tall man's game.
I'm 17 kilos over in the junior, let alone in the karting, and then the car's as light as it can possibly be.
But what was it like then to suddenly jump where you know in a car that you're up against it, but then boom, you're in a car, the weight isn't as much of an issue, and you shocked other people who hadn't seen your results in karting, and then suddenly you're winning in cars?
Yeah, I mean, it was a shock. It was even a shock to myself. When we turned up in 2014 for our first full year, and by the 3rd meeting we'd won a race, was a massive shock. We actually won it by 29.5 seconds. So
I like the way you remember the half.
Yeah, it was.
The half is important to
you.
It
was. And I backed off, because otherwise I'd have won it by 30 seconds. I was gutted.
I can't have that. That's just embarrassing for everyone else, Aaron. Well done. Good thinking with your rivals.
But yeah, ever since then we went on to Cadwell the weekend after and got another win, and then Brands actually, in our first full season, we broke the lap record, qualified par and won 2 races, and then turned up in 2015, we won over half the races in the season. We had 4 DNFs and still managed to win the championship, and it was a big team effort as well, because we had a few issues, like at Snetterton, the engine blew up in the first practice, and we only had a few hours until qualifying, and Jamie at Jam Sport managed to go all the way back from Norfolk to Northampton, build an engine, drive it all the way back, change the engine. I managed to get out for qualifying and qualified over a 1.5 seconds in front of 2nd place. So it was a massive team effort. I mean, I wish I'd like to say that I went out and it was all me and I did it all, but no, with STT contracts backing me and with Jam Sport building the cars, I mean, we really did do well last year.
And again, you can tell by the way you're talking about how you've matured into, in terms of the junior Fiesta Championships, you're now the elder statesman. Did you kind of then feel as though when you see the youngsters coming into their first season, you're almost like the elder statesman that can kind of give them a little bit of advice, or say, oh,
yeah, especially this year, I'm now the mentor and the ambassador for the Junior Championship, so I'll be taking all the drivers on track walks and looking after them. I mean, big thanks to Julianne to be able to give me that opportunity, but as well with Jam Sport. Jam Sport have made me their lead junior coach and mentor, because I'm the only person in the team now who's done well on the Doretta tyres, because the juniors run a different tyres to the seniors to give it a little bit of a less of advantage. And So I'll be looking after the junior drivers, giving them tips and that. And obviously that helps me, because then that helps me understand, like, when I'm looking at their footage, and maybe sometimes they might be doing a little things better than what I'm doing. So I can learn from them, they can learn from me, and we can all work together.
And so try and describe, you know, a record-breaking year in 2015, you know, when that point was scored that sealed the title. What was that feeling like?
It was a bit weird, because it didn't even quite sink in. Like, for me, it just felt like a race win at the time. Like, obviously it was great, but throughout the whole race, I'm known as like I go out to win every time. Like, even if stakes on the line, I do go out to win. And even in race 1 in the wet, I proved that. I was like on the grass slamming doors with my teammate. I didn't have to. I just had to finish in the top 8 in both races, but I was going out to win. So in race 2, it was hard for me, knowing that all I had to do is finish the race. And I sat there and sat there and sat there, and it was more of a, oh, thank God that's over. It wasn't like a big excitement, because I knew as long as I crossed the line, I'd won the championship. So it was more of, when we got home, when we sat down with an Indian, and we sort of thought about it, like, God, we've actually just won a championship. And if you would have told me when I was finishing 19th, 17th in FKS that I was a few years' time going to win a big junior car championship, I'd have laughed at you. So yeah, it was a big achievement, and still now it's not quite sunk in, because by the time it sinks in, we're already focusing on this year. Because now the goal was to win the junior championship. We won the junior championship, and now we're looking at the senior championship. It never quite stops.
You can never rest on your laurels, because now that your time as a junior driver's over.
Yeah.
So 2016, you go back from being the old sage and the person imparting the advice on the youngsters in the junior championship. You're right back to square one, because now you're the youngest driver in the senior championship, and you've got all these people that have got way more experience than you. What's 2016 going to be like?
I definitely think it's going to be hard. It's going to be a challenge, because I found it with some of the junior drivers, it was easy to manipulate them. Like, you could be a few car lengths back, you just show their nose and they start panicking, thinking you're going to go for a move, where as the older boys won't really fall for that. So I think it's going to be harder. It's a completely different mentality, racing against 14 to 17-year-olds, from racing 16 to up to the 50, 60-year-olds, the people who've got so much more experience. But I'm hoping to go and shock them and show them my ability, show them my talent. And like I said, this year I'm going for the championship. I'm not going in to learn, I'm not going into experience, I'm going to go in to win it.
And you know that you've got the relationship with the team that, you know, you've bonded with, you've grown with them. That's key as well, isn't it? Having that continuity.
Yeah, it's that trust. It's the fact that I can come in and tell them there's a bit of push, a little bit of oversteer, it's not quite doing what I want it to do. I know that all the mechanics and Jamie and my old man can get on the car, and I know for the next race it's going to be perfect. And they know that I'm not going to give them false feedback if I'm doing something wrong, and they go, is it the car? I'll be like, no, it's me, let's focus. But I think it's going to be hard as well, like I said about the tyre difference, going on to slicks. People like Jamie, who's the team boss, he also races on the slicks in the seniors, so that's going to be a bit hard. It's just going to be a big learning curve, but we need to try and balance the trying to learn it with trying to win races.
How much did you give him when you got that first championship in the bag?
I rubbed it in. I rubbed it in. I mean, my dad got paid to race, and he's never won a championship, and he got it as well. But Bobby's extremely successful in the VW Cup, and he did enough to get some stick for it. And my uncle Paul, my granddad, all racing drivers, but I'm the only one to win a championship. So I did rub it in, and now I think it's giving me that confidence boost, a little bit of arrogance, and I think it's getting to them, because I know I want to eventually go into the VW Cup with the Clios with Bobby. And I'm saying, I'm going to come for you, I'm coming for you. And I think he's starting to get a little bit nervous, because he's starting to see that maybe I will be coming for him.
Again, Aaron, I'm sure that 2016 is going to be a successful learning experience for you. And I have to say that, you know, from a racing family, and I've known you all for a long time, there's always smiling, even when the chips are down. And you all love your racing as a family.
Yeah, you've got to keep your head up in the down times, because it's them weekends like Silverstone for us. We went out in qualifying and had gearbox problems. Went out in the race, and before the race had even started, the gearbox let go. We started last, come all the way through to the lead, pulled out a 5-second gap, and on the second to last lap the alternator exploded. We had it at Castle Coombe, we pulled out a huge lead, and the drive shaft went. Like, bad things happen, but then when you have the good times, it makes it so much better. We had it last year with Carlito. I had a huge lead at Rockingham, and with 2 laps to go, the clutch went, and before I know it, I had Carlito nipping at my heels, and it's wins like that make you appreciate like the bad times, because if the bad times weren't there, the good times wouldn't be as sweet.
Well, I have to say, it's very easy to see why Aaron Thompson is one of the most popular drivers in British saloon car racing at the moment, and I think that a lot more people are going to become Aaron Thompson fans as you progress up through the saloon car ranks. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Thompson, everybody.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Emery.